Hello everybody and welcome to Faded Instruments. Today I would like to show you our newest module. This is the Faded Jangler. It's a bit of an open book in terms of what you can use it for. It is kind of a portal into your modular synthesizer, essentially turning your body into some patch cables. It uses the natural conductivity of the human body to connect signals. You just touch it. Yeah, it is a passive module in IntelliGel 1U format. It has, you can see, no knobs, but we do have 4 audio jacks at the front, and all of these can either be inputs or outputs. It actually doesn't matter because it's passive. And then you have these 8 golden touch plates. So as you can see, these bigger golden touch plates are connected to the audio jack that it's actually physically touching right there. And then you have these 4 golden plates in the center, which are organized a bit more chaotically. And yeah, it can be used for lots of things. I like to use it as just a gestural VCA or a panner, as a kind of effect send, or using it to mix signals. Actually, my favorite way of using it is just as a way of kind of feeding filters or instruments back into itself. Very gestural, experimental. You know, it does have some bleed, it does have some signal loss, it is passive, but in general, that hasn't bothered me. Yeah, it is very sensitive, so it's actually quite interesting. Sometimes you can pick up some radio signals through your body, yeah, it is quite an experimental module. It's not necessarily for everybody, but I love it. Actually, you can have multiple set up on your modular and connect them. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. So let's just jump in. I'm going to get started. Just so you know, I'm going to try to use pink cables for signals that are going into the module, and white cables that are going out. So let's take a signal from Platts, and let's take an output. It actually doesn't really matter where I connect these. I've just chosen this randomly. And at the moment we don't hear anything, and that's because we are not touching it yet. So let's start jangling. Very basic. You can see it only sounds when you're touching it, and depending on how hard you press, it affects the volume. So this is also affected by things such as the humidity in the air, how wet your fingers are. You know, one thing that I like to do sometimes is lick my finger, and then you can hear it kind of has a bit of a decay as your saliva evaporates. You can also wipe it off or blow on it to make it go faster. So this is the most basic functionality to use this for. Of course, we have these 2 empty ones. You can use those as well. But one of the ways that I like to use it a lot is I'm very into stereo sound, so I actually really like this as a kind of gestural way of panning. So we took 2 outputs now, going to left and right, and now I can use it as a panner. This center area is a little bit more chaotic, so, oops, back to the pitch there. You can kind of play around with it. So that's all quite nice. The next thing we'd like to do with it is I like to use it also as a panner and at the same time as an effect send. So let's get an output of here, and let's send this into our beads. Okay, take the output of that and send it also to our output. And now you can see what we're getting is panner, as well as an effect send. Kind of move chaotically through it. Quite expressive, gestural. Find it really fun to play around like this. Maybe instead of having a stereo output, let's send it to a second effect. This is actually a distortion. Let's see, let's get this going here. So now we are getting 3 different outputs. We are getting here, we're getting a direct output. Here we're getting the clouds. sorry, the beads, and here we're going to be getting a distortion. So let me make sure it's set up right. Okay. Mess around with it. Okay, that's all quite nice. Okay, let's reset this a little bit. Disconnect our cables. So far, we've been using it mostly to take one signal and send it to a bunch of different places. But how about instead, let's send it a few different signals. So now I'm going to use this. So we've got plats going into it, and now we've got this module going into it as well. This is kind of a another oscillator that I am working on at the moment, and this distortion actually also has a built-in oscillator, so let's get that in there as well. Let me turn that up. Okay. And let's get an audio output. Let's use the audio output from that one instead this time. Okay. So let's start playing. Now what we have is we have 3 signals coming in, 1 signal coming out. So now we can use this as a kind of like mixer between, or crossfader between 3 signals, sending it to the output. So we still have plats. And now we have this oscillator and this one. Lick my finger a bit. See how this is just another kind of more adventurous way of just mixing signals. I'm going to blow on it. And you see the signal fades out. Okay, so that's a bunch of ways to use it. Maybe I'll show one more, and I'll maybe put more on the website. One of the ways that I really like to use it is as a feedback system. So let's keep the one output going out. Let's disconnect everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use this filter. So I'm going to take an audio output, a second audio output of here, and send it to the input of my cinnamon. Then I'm also going to take another output and connect it to the CV. Okay. So we'll take one input, and this will be the low pass output. So yeah, just to sum it up again, into this we have the low pass output of the filter. This is an output going to the CV. This is the audio output, and this is, what's it called? This is, that is sending it into the filter. So let's see what we get here. Absolutely nothing. Let me just reset that. There we go. So very simple, but we are getting kind of feedback instrument. Let's make it sound a little bit more exciting by plugging it into our beads. And get the output of our beads. Let's get it sounding a bit more stereo. Well, I think that's about enough for today. This is the faded Jangler. This is going on sale right now. Let's see if we can get that in focus. Yeah,